Alright gents, yet another episode in Paul Unpacks Our Ration Pack. This is how it came. This is a brand spanking new one. He says getting the brand spanking new one. As you can see, it comes in a nice big plastic container. Breakfast and lunch and dinner suggestions are all written in the top here. I have absolutely no idea what version of a Russian wrap pack this is. It could well be just one for police. I'm pretty sure it's not a military one, as there's definitely not enough calories in this to make it a viable thing for a troop out and about. Now then, a lot of people, when you see them on Tinterweb, tend to cut them across here to get to the contents, but after a little bit of searching and fertling and rurtling around, there are actually some very small, you may not be able to see them, some very small tear notches just underneath my finger, which when you tear them across, you get something that looks like this, but with a peelable seal. So once you've had what you need for your meal or wherever, you can then reseal this back up, which is a far more sensible thing than having to cut the handle off. Right, so what do we get in here? What we get in here, apart from a lovely smell, is a cardboard box. Inside that cardboard box is a scran you're going to receive for the 24 hours. Now, as you know, I've already had some of this out of here, so I shall cut in a picture of what was in here. Tim's already seen it, but I know you haven't, Neil, so I'll let you do that. So what do we have? Right then, this is beef stew with vegetables. Your 3 heating tabs, which I've done a video on previously. As you can see, it does actually show you putting the heating element underneath the tin and burning the plastic and burning your food onto your scran. This is the Russian version of Cheese Possessed. In fact, it actually tastes better than Cheese Possessed. I know, heresy. This is a small can of liver pate. It's generally very nice. It's a little bit fatty, so it's a bit more like Spam in that regard. This is another beef dish, which is generally just a big chunk of beef, but this one feels like it's slightly different. So I'm just going to go and grab my phone and we shall see exactly what it says on the tin. So good old Google Translate comes to the rescue yet again. And this says beef and vegetable stew. So you get 2 of those, which is kind of interesting. I shall put that over there. This is a pack of drink fluid, you know, like the stuff you get in the IRPs. It's just like a powder. We'll be looking at that in a bit. This is what's called apple butter, and it is fantastic. It tastes just like the fillings out of a Bramley apple pie, and it goes really well with the crackers that you're going to see in a bit. Of course, there is a coffee. You know, there was a second tea, so this is the one that I have remaining. I mentioned the sugars before. This one I've already used. As you can see, it says 20, that means 20 grams. So in this pack of for a 24-hour ration you get 60 grams of sugar, which is quite a lot. 3 sets of disinfectant wipes, one for yourself, one for your mess tin. A 5 gram pack of salt. I had to go through the Google Translate because I forgot what it was. Some water purification tablets, enough for 2 litres. Yeah, you don't really need Google Translate for that. It's a sachet of pepper. This is a date bar. They're generally quite good actually, despite what they look like on the outside and when you actually get to see it. You do get 4 packets of crackers. My little lady found the Rat Pack and decided she wanted to try some. She's eaten 3, so they can't be that bad. Here's your super duper funky matches with the striker. A rather interesting take on a can opener. It's fixed so you can't move it out of the way, which I can imagine being a right pain in the tits, and there's nowhere to actually hang it onto anything underneath. So you just got to hold it in your pocket like that and hope don't stab yourself. You also get 3 rather flimsy spoons. It says not wanting to break them. Some napkins. A list of contents and when they were packed and when they're good till. And you saw the meal I had the last time out with the beef and rice and the tomato and pepper puree. Right then, before I start getting this out and about, I'm going to pack this all away quickly in a rather hurried fashion. Hello and welcome back, Tim and Neil. We are going to have a quick look at this Russian cooker, or the thing you get with the IRP. As you can see, it's just cheap and cheerful, very badly made stand for what's essentially a hexi block. And I just moved that all off the camera so you couldn't see it, but as you can see these are sharp. Yeah, I've used it once. I had a burn time of around 13 minutes, but from 10 minutes onwards I was able to pick this up from here without burning my fingers or being burnt by the remains of the tablet. So what we're going to do today is, I have here my trusty metal mug, 200 mils of fluid in it, which is approximately the size that well, it's in fact the exact size that the Russian military want you to make the cups of teas and coffees at. So we're not going to boil too much water. This is just to prove really that they must have another way of heating their rations, because this will not get hot enough for long enough to heat one of those foil pouches. Now, as I've mentioned before, the foil pouches are plastic lined, and there's no way on this planet I was going to stick these over a naked heat just to warm up some food with the possibility of getting plastic in the food that I'm trying to eat. Just to prove a point about these tins, this is one of the meals that I've had out of a previous Russian Rat Pack, and as you can see here, the tin is foil lined, not foil lined, sorry, plastic lined. So I've seen many YouTubers sticking these things straight on top of here And accepting the fact that their food will be slightly burnt at the bottom, which I think is unacceptable, and not knowing, probably, that they're getting plastic in their meal as well. So my preferred method would be to heat these up if I was out doing this for real somewhere in the Crimea, for example, would be to put this tin in a metal mug or some other container, put it on the heater, put this in here and letting it do its thing, having opened the top. So we shall see how long this takes to get the water to boil, if indeed it does get the water to boil, and how long it actually keeps it at the boil once it's there. Before I do that, a quick look at the other bits and pieces that you get with this kit. Away. You get three tabs, look very much like Esbit tabs, but they smell exactly the same as hexamine once you're in operation. So I'm going to put one of those in here. You also get some rather funky looking matches, which I quite like the look of, and they work quite well actually. A lot better than the things you get in the IRPs these days. They come in a little blister pack, striker at the end, and you get 6 matches. 6 matches for 3 tabs. 3 tabs for a whole day's worth, and just to pop them out and then pull it through. Same with the striker. Pop it through. The striker is actually a decent piece of kit. Again, unlike the ORPs, it's quite robust. It doesn't flop around all over the place. Okay, so let me find my phone. It's got a timer on it. Right then, I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. We're at 00, and I shall start it going once I've got the tablet lit and the water on top. Now I'm going to give the water a fighting chance by putting a lid on my cup, one that I've made myself, so no laughing please gentlemen. As you can see, the matches are pretty good. I light fairly easily. The tablet's now a goer, so I'm going to put the lid on the mug, and hopefully the mug won't crush this. And we will begin. Right, I'm not going to make you watch the whole of this thing boiling for 13 or 14 minutes or whatever it is. So what I'll do, I'll let it play through so we've got the timing. If I can, with the video editing software I've got, I will fast forward it to when we get to the boil and what the score is with how long it takes to get there. See you in a bit. So we're at 4.5 minutes, just going to have a quick peek. So again, a little bubbles in the bottom there, I don't know if you guys can see that. Five and a half minutes. Doing a bit of peekaboo cooking here. I know it's only boiling water, but you know. Okay, well we're back at 8 minutes and 4 or 5 seconds. Let's have a look at the water. That's hot, but it's not a boil yet. And the tab is pretty much done. Okay, we're at 9.5 minutes more or less. The water's not really getting any hotter. We do have hot water. That would be hot enough to make a brew. Certainly not hot enough to heat up one of those rations. And your tablet is pretty much out of the game by now. Okay, we're now at 10 minutes 45. This tablet didn't last as long as the other one. The water itself, though hot, didn't boil at all. And as you can see, the tab itself is all but gone out. The cooker isn't even hot anymore. So I really don't know how these troops are keeping themselves watered and fed if they can't even heat up the meals or make a hot drink with the provisions that they are given. Right, next up will be the way I heat these for these little forays into Russian stroke foreign ration packs, and then we'll eat yet another meal from that rat pack. Okay, so I did say I'd show you how I am going to heat this. I won't be doing anything on the stove. I won't be using the heater, as you'll have worked out with the test that you should have seen by now. I'm going to use this Hot Logic Mini. Neil, I've got you to thank for this when we were talking about how do you heat your meals up when you're travelling around in the Land Rover. I did a bit of searching on the interweb, and on some American site I was pointed towards this thing. Right, now you could get this to work in your Land Rover. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't have a cigarette lighter, but if you decide to get one of these things, I'm sure there's somewhere you could plug it in, even if you want it straight to the battery. Just snip the wires, put a connector on, and Bob's your auntie. What you get in one of these is a heating pad, which makes your food up to 85 degrees, which is plenty hot enough. You can get 2, maybe more rat packs in the foil packets. I've put this down just to help spread it out when I put stuff in here with a glass base, just to get the heat to come up through it. As you may have been able to tell, you can get an adapter so you can plug it in your house. It doesn't come with it. I had to buy it separately. But these things are cracking bits of kit, and if you really do need to be cooking whilst on the go, I actually use these when I'm travelling around in the van, and I can put stuff in that I've cooked and defrosted and put in the van. Right, with that I'm just going to go put the dinner on, and I'll come back when it's all hot. Okay, so those of you that have seen the earlier photograph where I said I was going to choose what I was going to have for my lunch from the Russian rat pack, I've gone for this, which is beef and rice, and I've gone for this, which is a tomato and pepper puree. Now, to wash all that down, I'm going to have a cup of tea. There's a sachet of sugar here, which is 20 grams. Not being a tea drinker, I must be the only Englishman in the world that doesn't particularly like tea, so this is going to be an interesting experience for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to, oh, you can also see the cooker, which I've not used, that comes with a rat pack, the strange matches that they give you, and a little striker. Right, back to what I'm going to do first. I'm going to make the cup of tea. I've already got a cup of hot water, so we'll give it time to steep while I open up my chicken and rice and my pepper and tomato puree. Now, I've had these before. I've had 1 or 2 of these rations in the past. The tea, to me, is just a tea. As I said before, I must be the only English person in the world that doesn't like a cup of tea. So we'll just sit that in there, let it do its thing. What I'm not going to do is to put the whole 20 grams of this into here. I'm going to start for about 1/3, so we're looking at about 7 grams-ish, thereabouts. I'll give it a quick stir and see what occurs from there. As with most Russian sugars, the granules in this is actually quite large compared to what we're used to in the UK. Right, so let's give this a quick stir and let it do its thing. Okay, so what we're going to open first, well, I'm going to open first now, is going to be the tomato and pepper puree. As I said, I've had one of these before, and it generally comes out looking like tomato ketchup, but with a bit more of a pepper taste. Okay, as per usual, it's not going to come undone, so prior preparation prevents and all that. Get me a little trusty knife, make a nice little cut around the top, and here you can see the puree. As I mentioned before, it looks very much like tomato sauce, slightly more lumpy because it's got peppers in it. Doesn't that look appetizing? Right, now for the beef and rice. Hopefully this will come apart quite easily, as they generally do. Now then, doesn't that look really appetizing? I've seen cat food that looks better than this, but trust me, it tastes gorgeous. Let's get this out onto a tray. As you can see, there's loads of juices with this. It really is a very heartwarming, artery hardening, fantastic meal. Doesn't look much, but it does fill you up. Is all you can ask for, something that you're trying to survive with. Right, let's get down to it. I'm going to start off, as the spoon's already covered in it, with the rice and chicken. There are some really distinct flavours there that would appear to my palate to be basil, some pepper, some salt. It's not overly salty. The chicken is processed, but it's not overly processed, as you can see here. It's a melt in your mouth meat because it's been cooked for quite a while before it's actually gone into the packet, and obviously when you reheat it you're partially cooking it over again. Right then, let's try the puree. And as I said previously, it is tomatoey with a peppery sort of chunks. Again, there's not overly seasoned. We're looking at some salt and pepper mainly, and just letting the flavours of the other two vegetables come through. Okay, well, let's give them a go together. As you may be able to see, the oils are coming out of both the rice, the chicken and the puree. that is a wholesome mouthful of food there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give the tea a go. Black tea. That tastes just as you expect a black tea from a ration pack to taste like. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar, even though I said I wouldn't. Yeah, I can understand why they give their troops so much sugar to put in these things. It really does change the taste. Not only is it becoming sweeter, but actually seems to round out the flavours of the tea better. Right, well, I'm going to finish this off now, and when I get chance I will do one of the other two meals. Just a quick dabble into what I'm eating for my lunch today. Enjoy. Right then, welcome back. The food is now hot, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make up the coffee. I'm going to use the remainder of the sugar that was from the cup of tea I had earlier. My experience with this stuff has never been good. They may well be a tea drinking nation, they're certainly not a coffee drinking nation. Yeah. This is where I stab myself, isn't it? Cup of water from the tap, sorry not the tap, from the kettle. The remainder of that sugar, oh god that coffee smells horrid. Quick stir with a good old trusty MRE spoon. Right. As you can see, I've got some biscuits out on the tray. The part packet that my little lady started to eat all on her own. God bless her. So what we're going to start off with is doing a bit of unpackaging. This is the liver pate, stroke sausage meat they call it. And of course these foil packets, notorious for being a bit of a pain in the backside to open. Aha, got my way in. Smells delicious. I know it doesn't look it, but it does smell delicious. Fig bar. Again, these things just look black and nasty, but they are very, very tasty. And they will go very well with that cup of coffee. Right, the crackers. These things, absolutely nothing like Biscuits Brown. If I was to give them a taste, it'd be very much like the Jacob's crackers. They're a little more dense and quite a lot more kind of like a, not staly, but going along that sort of lines. Right then, let's open this up. Try not to get it everywhere. This is now nice and hot. Okay, back with our trusty kniff. And the smells coming off of this at the moment are very reminiscent of canteen cooking. More peppers. Let's get them out. There you go. Right then. Let's start with a bit of this, what they call a sausage stroke liver pate. Just try a little bit on its own first. A little bit like spam, not salty, definitely a little bit more grease around the outside, which actually adds to the flavour, as I'm sure you're both aware. Also, it doesn't have that mouthfeel that you get with spam. It's a lot smoother. Right, I can give it a little bit of a go on one of these biscuits. As you can probably tell, those biscuits make a hell of a difference to what you're eating. They really bulk stuff out. Right then, let's get into the stew, see if we can find some, or a bit of everything. Right, here we have a piece of beef, what looks like carrot, there's pepper, and a little bit of aubergine. Right, so we're just going to give this a go. Yep. As per always, the meat's very well cooked. It's very soft to the mouth. It's been cooked. You can tell it's been cooked for a long time. It's not overly processed. You can actually feel the fibres in the meat, so it doesn't feel at all like the stuff you get in compo, with hardly any texture and what basically could be a soy-based protein. Right then, moving on to the date bar. As you can see, very rich. Actually smells a little bit like a Christmas cake, which I suppose it would have been given a date. Again, that's very enjoyable. There are little bits of fruit seeds in there, and it does taste an awful lot like a Christmas cake without the icing and the marzipan. Right then, let's see if we can wash that down with some coffee. That smells very cheap. Ugh. Yeah, and just as feared, the only thing that's really making that at all drinkable is the amount of sugar that I put in it. Right then, I'm going to finish the rest of this off, and then the next meal will be the third and final one from that particular ration kit. See you soon. How do again? Here we go for the third and final meal from this Russian Rat Pack. Oh, mucking around with the lighting. What we're going to have today for this meal will be some crackers. With those crackers I'm going to have some processed cheese, some apple butter and a beef stew. Now, you've seen me drink the cup of tea before. There is a nasty amount of sugar, get rid of that. Nasty amount of tea, some salt, we may need that, but we may not. So what am I going to drink today? I'm going to have this lovely little drink here that I have no idea what the flavour is, but it does say it's a fortified drink. It does feel a little bit clumped. If it's anything like most Russian cups of tea or drinks, it will be very, very sugary at the bottom. So if you want to have a quick look, or pause and have a look, see what it says, the actual wording you're looking for is just about there. There you go. Right, without further ado, yep, that is very, very sugary, very, very clumpy. Oh, big lump. Right. As with most of these Russian drinks, once you put it in 200 ml of water, give that a quick stir, see what we can do. It smells a bit lemony. Let's see if we've got rid of those. But as you can see at the bottom here, there is a crap ton of sugar that still hasn't dissolved yet, so we'll leave that to do its thing. And the battery's going. Okay, another faux pas on my part there. The power went out to the camera. I've put stuff on crackers. I've tried stuff already. So just for a quick recap, this is cheese and crackers. They work well together. Nut butter on a cracker. That's really good. That makes a good, real good dessert. The beef, as it came out of the tin, you didn't see the bay leaf that was in there. Okay, the beef as it came out of the tin was a block. I've since smashed it up, and I've done it with a spoon, so that tells you how tender it is. It doesn't look overly processed. It was like just a chunk of meat in there. It's a nicely seasoned piece of beef. It's been cooked for a long time. You can tell it's been slow cooked. As you can see, there are floaty bits in with the beef. That's just simply one of the crackers, or two of the crackers that I've crunched up, thrown in there to help soak up some of the gravy and juices. So we give that a go together. That gives the beef some crunch, which actually could do with that's very well cooked, very tender, slow cooked. It's lacking in any sort of bite. And for the last thing, good old drink. I'll see if I can give you a read on what this is. It's like a lemon and a lime juice, or maybe even a tropical. The trouble is the actual flavour itself of the drink is masked by the amount of sugar they've put in there. Okay, well, I'm going to finish this off and I'll come back with a conclusion at the end. See you later, guys. Right, guys, finished that. Really enjoyed it, as I tend to do with the Russian rations. The reason for that is, unlike a lot of the food you see coming through the UK system, there aren't many snacks. It is just meals. The only real luxury that you get normally in a Russian Rat Pack, which is one of the reasons why I'm fairly certain this isn't a military issue one, is you get another tub of apple sauce to go with the meal. You also get chocolate bars, and there are other bits and bobs that are missing from this ration that bring the calorie count down to just 3,600 as opposed to the 4,000 plus that you get in the normal military rations. As you can see, I was on about the beef not being processed. A little bit of connective tissue. So all they've done is basically just taken hunks of meat off the cow, chopped into appropriate sizes, and then cooked it. As you can see on the tray, starting to get fat, solidifying on the spoon and on the tray. So there was an awful lot of goodness there in the way of dripping. My favourite bit of the ration, well, generally always is the apple butter. It does to me taste like a Bramley apple, Mr. Kipling's sort of tart filling, which I really liked as a kid. Unfortunately, I still do. The coffee and tea, well, I've had better, but I've also had far worse. You only get one cold drink, and as I said, it's quite sugary. You can possibly see in the bottom here the amount of sugar that didn't dissolve, so you can only imagine what it did. The cheese, I always find an interesting taste on the palate. Yeah, overall I quite enjoy these, as I'm sure you've probably guessed by now. I have one more left, so after the critique from you guys after this, if I get time between now and when we move in 4 weeks, I will be attempting to do one that I can go live with on YouTube, because at the moment you guys are the only guys that can see this series of videos. So if you could give us some feedback, guys, that'd be great. I'm still trying to get to grips with the editing software, which is something brand new to me. But yeah, I look forward to your input. Thanks a lot, guys. Speak to you now.